Hey guys, welcome to another plain simple video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about why the Boeing 737 series and design should probably be retired. Every time Boeing reintroduces the 737, they always upgrade it by a little bit. First of all, we started with the Boeing 737 Classic. Then we moved on to the 737 Next Generation, which featured bigger engines, I believe a longer fuselage, and eventually we had winglets. And then we had the Boeing 737 MAX. The Boeing 737 MAX features Sintmar winglets, where actually are not a new design. They were originally featured on the McDonnell Douglas MD-11. The 737 MAX also featured a improved tail cone, longer pylons, bigger engines, a taller nose wheel, and a slightly longer fuselage. But other aircraft nowadays are being introduced that could replace the Boeing 737 MAX. Let's talk about the Boeing 737 MAX's engines. The 737 MAX features a LEAP 1B engine, which is initially 10 to 12% more efficient than previous aircraft. And it also has carbon fiber blades, which enables a 9-to-1 bypass ratio for 40% smaller noise footprints. However, the Boeing 737 MAX is not the world's most perfect aircraft. There's other aircraft that could replace it. One aircraft, for example, is called the CS-100 that is being designed by Bombardier. For the engines of the CS-100, Bombardier selected the Pratt & Whitney geared turbofan, now the PW1000G. This provides a 20% better fuel burn and up to a 15% cash operating cost versus similarly sized aircraft produced at the time. Unlike the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft, the CS-100 aircraft contains 70% advanced materials. These materials comprise of 46% composite materials and 24% aluminum and lithium. Bombardier offers a overall 15% lower seat mile cost and a 20% lower fuel burn and a CO2 emissions advantage, and a 25% reduction in maintenance costs. Bombardier has also claimed that the engines and the wings will save up to 20% fuel compared with the Airbus A320neo and the Boeing 737 Next Generation. Now, just to say, the Airbus A320neo is actually in a completely different class than the CS-100. The CS-100 is mainly designed to compete against the Boeing 737-700, the 737 MAX 7, and the Airbus A319. So the fact that it can save 20% fuel compared to the A320neo is quite impressive. Also, the largest variant of the CS-100, which is currently the CS-300, is 6 tons lighter than an Airbus A319neo, and it is nearly 8 tons lighter than the Boeing 737 MAX 7, helping it achieve up to 12% operating cost savings and 15% with current models. Now, let's talk about the range. The 737 MAX has a range of about 3,850 nautical miles, or 7,130 kilometers, while the CS-100 has actually a surprisingly close range of about 3,300 nautical miles, or 6,112 kilometers. What about speed? The speed of the Boeing 737 MAX is about Mach 0.79, or 450 knots, also known as 839 kilometers. The CS-100 speed is about Mach 0.82, which is actually faster, at a speed of about 470 knots, or 871 kilometers. Now, the largest variant of the CS-100, like I mentioned earlier, is the CS-300, which has a speed of Mach 0.78, or also known as 447 knots, or for those of you in the UK, 829 kilometers. But the CS-100 is not the only aircraft that could replace the 737. After all, there are actually other aircraft. One aircraft in particular I did find was called the Comac 919, which is currently being developed in China. This aircraft actually has a range that is smaller than both the CS-100 and the 737 MAX. Its range is about 299 nautical miles, or 555 kilometers. The Comac 919 also uses the LEAP 1C engine. What about prices? The Comac 919 costs about $50 million. The Boeing 737 MAX, well actually I could not find the Boeing 737 MAX cost, so I figured the cost of a Boeing 737 Next Generation was about $51 to $87 million, which I would believe would put the 737 MAX at around $90 to $100 million. The CS-100 costs about $79.5 million, the Airbus A319 costs about $89.6 million, and the Airbus A320 costs about $101 million. Anyways, guys, that's all I have for you today, and I would like to say that, well, I frankly think that the 737 MAX is a great aircraft, but I think it's time for it to, well, start being retired and being phased out, because I think that newer and better and more innovative aircraft should be allowed to be introduced and help the environment. So anyways, guys, comment down below of what aircraft you would prefer: the CS-100, the Comac 909, the Boeing 737 MAX, the Airbus A319, or the Airbus A320. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I just want to tell you guys to keep things plain simple, and